Hello and welcome back to the Jags cast. It's been another week of hell in Scottish football as the arbitration was announced. Not a surprise by what happened, from our point of view, and Hearts and Stranraer, and probably the two forgotten teams, Brora Rangers and Kelty Hearts. On the upside, it'll be easy to sponsor us than it will be to sponsor Scottish football. We'll do it for a few beers. Neil Doncaster we're still waiting on that. However, more importantly, we're joined by our usual panel again. Great to have Alan Fraser, number 7, back, who's missed the last couple. Donners is here, and of course, our special guest tonight, Stuart Bannigan. Banzo, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Not a problem. Looking forward to it.
Banzo,
So,
the lockdown looks as if it's been good to you. You're looking in good shape.
I'm just going to actually address this before we get going. There was a wee picture going about of me in the strip a couple of days ago. I was getting a bit of slagging for it. They caught me in a bad time, so I had a wee haircut last week.
Well, when we look at, Stuart, it's been 10 years now at the club. From a youngster. I know you kind of started as a youth player at Celtic, and I think it was one which we've touched on with so many players. Jamie Mitchell even last week as well. I know Stevie had sort of issues, but I think they kind of felt you were too lightweight, too small, the way a lot of clubs were at the time. But then, you get picked up by Thistle. But am I right in saying, Stuart, if I remember a previous conversation we had years ago, were you just playing with your mates and get picked up by Thistle?
It turned out, sorry to interrupt you, it turned out that I got let go with Celtic. They said the jump for under 15s to 17s was a bit too much for me, and they're probably right. I played in a different position for Celtic. I was more of a winger, a winger with no pace, so I don't know what they were expecting there. So I played winger and let go with Celtic, and you're obviously devastated. You've been there. I was there from 11-year-old up to 15. You think you're going to be there for forever. It's just the norm. So I got let go for there, and I was a bit sort of disappointed with the whole thing. And I never played for a while, probably about 5-6 months. And my mate said to me, "Come down and train down at the Firhill Complex with my sort of amateur team." So I went down and trained there, and just so happened that the Thistle sort of under 17s team were in the half park next to me, and I sort of ended up training there, and it's a story ever since. So it's just one of those stories that maybe all came together for me at the right time and a wee bit of luck.
I was looking at some of
very much right place.
Yeah.
Aye.
I've been playing at Firhill Complex for years. I've never been picked up.
Scouts are lazy these days, Alan. That's what it is. But Banzo, look at some of the players you played with. Obviously, Callum McGregor, Mark McNulty. Did you play with James Forrest in that team as well?
No, he was a year above, so it would have been a few boys that have had quite good careers. Mark McNulty, been down south in Hibs. Lewis Toshney, James Keaton's, boys like that. Boys, no sort of superstars. Only one would be sort of Callum McGregor, would say is done incredible. But I say this all the time. Boys find their own level, whether that's stepping down again and working their way back up. But you find your own career, and it certainly helped me being at Celtic for the 4 or 5 years. Got to go all over the world, playing tournaments, sort of Qatar, France, Belgium, Italy, and it sets you up for a career in football.
See, Callum McGregor back then to the player he has become now. Are you surprised?
Aye, I definitely am. Listen, he was always technically fantastic, but again, he was sort of similar to me. He played in the left or right wing. Similar sort of build to me back then, very skinny, but he's found his position now in midfield, and he's absolutely incredible, isn't he, really? Very rarely gives the ball away, and sort of keeps Celtic ticking over with possession, and he also adds goals to his game as well. So he's sort of surpassed what I thought he could have done, but he's been absolutely superb.
Yeah. Does that come to a certain extent, Stuart, as just the kind of coaching you're given throughout the years, that some coaches work, see something in guys, or is that just down to a kind of hard work and dedication to try and get to the top of the game?
Well, especially at Celtic and Rangers, I'd imagine that to come through the youth, you're going to need to be absolutely incredible to even get a sniff in the first team, because they can just go out and buy whoever they want for that position. And if you've no sort of hit the ground running when you've came in as a youth player, you'll easily get put aside, I think. So it just shows how good he actually is, really. So it's also, you do a bit of luck as well at certain moments to, get a chance, and he's certainly taken it.
Yeah. Well, the one thing is, Stuart, you didn't hang about. You made your first team debut against Clyde in the Challenge Cup when you come off the bench as a sub. Starting debut against Thistle and Albion, the 11th of September in 2010. And then possibly the making, or what helped, was the loan move to Ayr United, which was only, I think, initially a month, but it was extended to the end of the season. And I want to give you a quote that I was told that year, that November. I don't know if you remember, I think we may have spoken about this. A guy called Jim Sherry, who at that time I was working in an Italian bar restaurant called the Luciano's in Bothwell. And I remember Jim Sherry telling me, and this is a quote, I always remembered this: he's far too good for Thistle in the Championship, never mind Ayr United in Division 2. He'll be a star when he gets a move to a bigger club. And that's no disrespect to your club, Raymond, Thistle, and he will play for Scotland. Now that was in 2010, just when you went to Ayr on loan.
I don't know what he was saying, but definitely. No, listen, the Ayr United move was a big moment for me. I remember you touched on the debut. I think it was 15 minutes or something to the end of the game. You're just happy to even be involved because you think you're miles away from even playing or being anywhere near it with the 15 boys we had. And then my first start was I think you said it was still an Albion, was that right? The first start would have been.
Yeah, that's right.
I done okay. Listen, I done okay. I wouldn't say I done well, but there was certainly a physical side that I had to get better at. I felt like I couldn't last the full game. Again, playing a different position. I think I might have been playing left mid that day. I remember after that game, Ian McCall, he saw me. I was still a YTS at the time, so we were doing all the cleaning and cleaning the boots and stuff like that. And a few of my YTS mates were with me, and he came up the corridor and he went, think Banzo done well enough in that game there? The boys are backing me up saying, I think he done well. Well, we'll see if he starts again next week. So he's given me a bit of sort of ground in there. And I started the next week, I think, and I was pretty poor. I think we ended up getting beaten. I think he knew then, listen, I was good enough to be sort of round about it, but I probably wouldn't have started as many games as I'd wanted. So I think we'd played Ayr in the reserves, and I think Brian Reid at Ayr United, the manager, took a quite liking to me and found out that I'd want to go there and loan. As you said, it was initially a month. I always remember the first training session there. It was up at Petershill, and you're walking into a new place. I was only 17, just about to turn 18 at the time, and you're walking in a dressing room with Mark Roberts and Scott McLaughlin, boys like that, who are no shy in telling you what they think about you, but they get you into, you need to sort of stand up and be counted here, because they'll certainly tell you if you're not living up to what they're expecting. The first training session, you're training with men who sort of demand the best at you. So it was a brilliant experience for me. Really enjoyed it. Got to play a couple of times on the telly against Hibs in the Scottish Cup, and ended up getting promoted through the playoffs. So it was an amazing time. And I always story about Ryan McCann, who's the sort of reserve manager at Thistle now. He was playing, me and him played midfield together, and first game. So I'd only trained on Thursday night, and the first game was Saturday away at Dumbarton. And I done all right. I thought I had a pretty good game. I ended up getting down to 10 men. We could beat 3-2, but I put one right on Mark Roberts' head 2 minutes in. He missed a sitter. He'll not tell you that, but he missed an absolute sitter 2 minutes in. And I was thinking, because as I touched on earlier, you need to probably, coming in as a young boy, you need to start well and show that you can play. Because you've not got a voice, you can't sort of demand things off people. You need to show for your ability as a young boy to go in and show that you're supposed to be playing with these boys. So I made a conscious effort to make sure that I was, I started the game really well and had a good game. But there was a point in the second half where the ball broke in the middle of the park, and I've tried to just lift the ball over the midfielder's leg, and he's sort of went through me and nearly scored. And came in after the game thinking, I've had a good game here, buzzing. Ryan McCann, don't you ever no a tackle ever again. Went right through me. But then 2 minutes later, he's patting me in the back saying, listen, thought you had a good game. But that just shows you the demands that these guys had. And I always remember Candle saying that to me.
I tell you, it must have been the only time in your career you pulled out a tackle.
Then I went to the other extreme.
And obviously, Ian McColgie, your debut, I think there's a bit of banter about that just now, is there?
I always says I made you and stuff like that. And I remember you were a wee skinny 15, 16-year-old and I brought you through and brilliant. No, he was great with me back then, but I wasn't quite ready to play when he was sort of in his first spell.
Were you more? You were kind of more not a left winger as such, but more a sort of wide left midfielder, weren't you? When you went to
I went to Ayr and I started out playing left mid for the first few games, but we changed the system a wee bit and we went sort of 4-5-1 and I ended up just coming in one, so sort of left side of the centre. And I just feel more comfortable in the middle. Just I feel you get more of the ball and it suits my game more rather than being stuck out wide. And you know, I know my own limitations. I've not got much pace. I wouldn't say I'm slow, but I wouldn't be taking people on with skills and stuff like that. So certainly playing in the middle of the park, I felt suited my game and took me to a sort of another level.
Yeah. Was that something then, season 11 and 12, it was a wee bit in and out, but you're still young at that time.
I just think back.
The end of that.
Sorry, what you saying there, mate?
I was going to say, towards the end of the season, you started then to really establish. In fact, you ended up, did you not finish up playing left back?
Yeah, well, that's what I was saying, with a wee bit of luck. A wee bit of luck you need. That season I came back, that was the season after I was at Ayr, so I came back and you get to taste the first team. And then to get that taken away again, you feel a wee bit deflated. But as you said, I was only young at the time, so it's hard to try and sort of demand I should be playing when you know really shouldn't. But at the same time, I'm feeling that just give me a chance here. So I was in and out, probably played, I don't know, can I tell you, maybe started 4 or 5 games up until around about March time, and Big Aaron Taylor Sinclair pulled his hammy, and I was the only left-sided player that could do a job there. So I played the last 6 games of the season at left back. Done all right. Sort of never looked out of place, and sort of put my sort of name in the hat for the next season, going into the championship winning season. So you need that wee bit of luck that I said to get yourself in the door. But then it's up to you to make sure you stay there.
See, at the end of that season, I always remember you scored your first goal. It was the last game of the season in May. 2-2 draw at Accies. All 4 goals were in the first half, and I think Accies eventually got a man sent off later on. But I remember one of the boys telling me when I was doing the programme that Jackie had come in at the end of that game and said, next season we'll win the league, no doubt.
He came in, I remember it so clearly. That's basically exactly what he said. He just said, we come back pre-season because next year we're going to win the league, no excuses. And you know, it gave you a sort of a big feeling, oh, this is going to be a big push here. And then we signed a few cracking players that summer that you know, really helped us and hit the ground running.
See, Jackie, was Jackie your manager at Celtic at the time?
No. I didn't know. I only knew Jackie from when he came in as a player at Thistle. And he had his sort of first spell when he took over as interim for the last, maybe, was it last 6 games of the season at some point? I was on loan at Ayr, so I didn't quite get the chance to show what I could do then, which I was a wee bit thinking about. But Jackie was fantastic, and to go and say that and then have a big part in doing it just shows the confidence that he had.
Yeah. So that was the goal at the start of that season. No ifs or buts. That's what we're going for. We're going to try and win this and get up. Yeah, right from the outset. Yep. And it built and built. And you could see it. You could see the confidence building through that team that season. It was just fantastic.
The start was massive for us. I think we won the first 6 league games, but even starting that season, I felt I was again a wee bit lucky to be even in the team, because Aaron Taylor Sinclair was in the team of the year before at left back. We'd get back pre-season and I wasn't sure if I was going to be either midfield or try to get used as a sort of backup left back. I wasn't quite sure, so I went in pre-season, and you always do 11v11 games between yourselves, and it was Sinky one left back and me the other left back, so I was thinking, I need to try and beat this guy who's been in Team of the Year. And I think he'll probably tell you himself, he didn't have a great pre-season, and Jackie chucked me in the first game of the season instead of him, which was a big decision, because he was, when you look at Sinky, big athlete, big strong boy, one of our better players for the first 2 or 3 seasons, and to stick me in instead of him just showed the faith he had in me, so always thankful for that.
Does that come from a confidence thing as well, Banjo, that, you know, he's actually started the whole, you know, the season of, which is going to be, you know, and it is a title season, and you're the starting man in the left, as you say, in the left back, ahead of a guy who was in the Team of the Year prior to that. You know, confidence-wise, that's got to be huge.
Yeah, that was massive for me. For the first game, we beat Falkirk, but we ended up playing the Queen's Park game midweek, and
that was tap in, wasn't it? You scored, aye.
The one that Stevie said I shanked, right in the tap in. We played Queen's Park and I get moved into midfield that night. Don't know, something happened and it was a switch. I moved into midfield. And then I just had a bad feeling that on Dunfermline away the next game I was going to get dropped. I just had a bad feeling. Welshie get kicked in the eye at Queen's Park. So
yeah.
Terrible for me. I'm thinking, if Welshie gets kicked in the eye, I'm playing midfield anyway. So I'm thinking, come on Welshie, stick it. And luckily, I don't know how, but Welshie made it back into the team. So I'm thinking, I'm getting dropped here. I just had a bad feeling. But again, he stuck with me. I think that was one of my better defensive performances. I think it was only 1-0. Stevie scored up in East End Park. So, so I did feel I was lucky to start the season, but I felt I showed him with my performances that I maybe deserved to do so.
Do you know, Banzo, it actually makes me think, like, kind of, we spoke numerous of times. The 2012 team was maybe probably of our era. You know, it was wonderful football. But see, you say that, it makes you probably understand why they were so successful, because Aaron Taylor Sinclair, he was playing fantastic. He's thinking, right, I'm not going to make it in the side, and then you go on a 6-game win run. You don't change a winning team. So all of a sudden he's out. So he needs to, when he gets back in, he needs to really prove it. And I think a lot of other players, that would frighten them as well. And it obviously elevates the level across the side.
100%. Well, we've seen there was big Sinky would have been thinking, how am I not even playing it? It's unbelievable. And midfield with a lot of options. Hugh Murray came in, who the experience, he was probably thinking, I'm probably going to be starting most weeks. Paul Payton, Welshie, Marcel could fit in there. JC, so with a lot of options. So you knew once you're in, you had to do well. And I think that's probably partly why we started so well, because we're scared to lose your place.
Yeah. To be fair, Shuggy helped a wee bit, you know, any time we played Morton.
Yeah, you're right. He maybe gets a bad reputation just for the tackles, right? But he was a big help to a lot of the young boys.
Aye.
The season he really was. Just with his experience. I don't know when he started to drop out the team. Wasn't he that late on? It was about October time.
It was.
Aye.
Yeah. It was. In fact, I think it was just after. I was going to talk about October, because obviously we were up at Falkirk, the Nahanich game. I think that was the first time our team had actually. I remember Stephen Presley saying at the time, "There's no way I can play open attacking football against a team that's scoring goals left, right, and centre as Thistle, you know, as we were at the time." And I think Shuggy played in that, but that was the injury you got. I mean, that looked horrific.
I've still got the picture. Somebody sent me the picture. I've still got the picture for that game, and dead lucky there that I've not snapped my leg. Like, it was unbelievable. And that was actually Stevie's fault. If you watch that game back, and I'm saying that, genuinely being serious, watch the game back, right? Stevie plays me a hospital 3 yards. And the guy who comes right in, steams through, and the picture's unbelievable, because you see the anger in the guy coming right through, and my whole ankle sort of looks like it's snapped. But I didn't think I'd done anything bad. It was just really sore ankle. I thought I just twisted my ankle, which it turned out that I had. So I was out for, I think it was 10 days or something. But I was lucky again, another lucky thing that happened for me. I think we played really well the Dunfermline game. I never played, so I'm thinking, I'm never getting back in the team. But the week after, we could beat off Hamilton. So, and then I was back in again. So, if we'd have kept going the winning streak, I might not have been back in the team, and then you never know for there. So it's a wee things in football that can add up for you and help you when you get that wee break.
I think you're underselling yourself here, Banzo, because obviously later on that season you get called up for the under-21s. You know,
Yeah.
somebody who has left Celtic and out of football for 6 months, looking at some of the players that were in your side that time, just can look through a few of them. Got Dylan McGeer, Stuart Armstrong, Tony Watt, Jamie Walker, Steve May, some fantastic players. How did you fitted right in?
I'd never played at Scotland at any level at all, and I remember a few times Jackie telling me that Billy Stark was here watching, because we had quite a lot of young Scottish boys. Myself, Steve McDonnell. I'm not sure if Stevie and that would have been eligible. I'm not sure. I think they might have been a year too old, maybe.
I think Stevie get called up for one, didn't he? Sod get called up.
Sod played, yeah.
Sod played, sorry, with me. That's what I mean. Me and Sod get the call up for the first time, but I don't know if Stevie Lawless and that were a year too old. I think they might have been a year too old. But there was a lot of young Scottish boys playing, so Billy Stark came and watched a few games, and I remember one game he was at, again, a lucky moment for me. I scored at Livingston, right foot. We won 2-0 that night, and I get the call up for the game, me and Sod, away at Greece in a friendly, and started the game. I think I played the full game, and you just never think you're going to get a chance to do that. So to do that, I'm incredibly lucky and thankful to Thistle for playing me so much that I get a chance to do it, because not many people even try to think ever really get a call up from the lower leagues, unless you're doing really well. So I must have been doing something right.
And tell us, how does it go in the kind of football fraternity? So obviously Stuart Armstrong's probably been the most successful on that side. Is that just you play a game and you move on, or do you stay in touch? Do you have that kind of?
I think if I saw them, you'd say hello and stuff like that, but I wouldn't say you keep in contact with those boys. Scotland was a bit different. I didn't particularly like a few games we played. I think we played my second one. My first qualifier was Luxembourg at home, and the hotel for 10 days, and it's pretty boring. Nothing really to do after your training, because you're not training for long, and you get all the boys that are in their own wee groups, that understandably so, because they're friends and they're sticking in their own circles. But me and Sod never really had anybody else, and I just fucking listened to his patter for it wasn't great. But I didn't particularly like the sitting about the hotels for hours and hours on end. That was one part that I didn't quite enjoy. But it's a small price to pay for getting a chance to sort of represent your country at that level. So,
what was it like then? Obviously, you were part of the England squad as well. To play England.
That was. I still get slagged this day about it, but I say to all my mates, look at that team. I mean,
I've got it here.
I mean, if you want to name the team the subs, Donald's, that's fire away, because it's absolutely ridiculous.
If you look at the subs, Eric Dyer, Ross Bartley, Sola Ameobi, Jesse Lingard, Harry Kane, they never made the starting lineup. Stones was playing, Keane, Nathan Redmond, Raheem Sterling. Ridiculous.
Absolutely ridiculous.
Who are you marking?
Well, I thought Raheem Sterling was amazing, don't get me wrong, but I thought the best player for them, hands down, was John Joe Shelby, and I never realised how big he was as well, how tall he was. He's about 6'1". His range of passing incredible. The first half, I remember, I think we were 2-0 down. They'd scored a long ball, so they never really cut us open. And I remember getting the ball a couple of times. Listen, it wasn't great, but I thought, this isn't too bad. And then the second half, they just upped the gears big time, and out my depth massively. But an experience to see I played against the boys, and I think it turned out to be my last game, so I think they went not good enough.
Again, you're selling yourself short, Stuart. I mean, what a season that went on to finish, though. With the cup final, which was unfortunate. And of course, ironically, as a penalty taker, you get subbed.
I remember the cup final. It wasn't a great game, was it? No, it just wasn't a great game. I think don't know what it was. Just we didn't play well. Queens were a tough side, very tough side. They won their own league respectively. So it wasn't much in it, but no. And it came to the penalties. I think I get taken off in extra time, just at the start of extra time. And then when it goes to penalties, it's a 50-50 lottery. So,
yeah, that's right.
We lost that game, but it showed the sort of mental strength is that, you know, we came back 3 days later in the biggest game of the season and ground out a 1-0 win.
Is it true that Cragsy's still living off that?
Cragsy will remember that for the rest of his days, and tell you what, I don't blame him, because
It's a great night though, wasn't it? I mean, as you say, pick yourselves up after losing the final. Okay, it's not a major final, but it's still one you want to win, you know, especially after getting a late equaliser from Doolan, going to penalties and the disappointment of that. But the Morton game and the crowd at the Morton game, incredible night.
Like, amazing. Even when we all meet up again or we speak to each other, it always gets brought up. We done the warm up and it was back into the dressing room to get changed for the game, and they said it was too big. We need to wait 15 minutes to let the crowd in. Wow, come out and it was some atmosphere. It really was. Again that night probably wasn't a great game, really wasn't a great game, but you know, we'd done enough to sort of deflate them, and once they lost that, I think they knew it was game to bogey.
Yeah. Well, I think that, of course, the following week was the Airdrie game, and I think they were playing Dunfermline. I think it was Martin Hardy we spoke to about that, and you know, we're saying I think they'd been 2-0 up or something against Dunfermline, get called back to 2 each, and then we scored twice. The injury time, and that finished it really. You know, the Airdrie game.
Sort of a fairy tale story, didn't it? Just when Archie took over, it just seemed like he couldn't get beat. I don't think he never lost a league game.
Never lost a game.
That's what I mean. And it just seemed like it just couldn't get beat, and it was just meant to be for us. And we got obviously a bit of fortune with the Cowden Beef game and stuff like that. But I think still we would have, you know, probably went on and won it, even though that didn't happen. You know?
How was the difference then between Jackie and Archie? We spoke to Stevie as well, and he felt there wasn't really much of a change. But
no.
Positionally wise, was there any changes for the likes of yourself?
Not really much for me. I think if you look back at the games and the evidence of it all, I think we were more free flowing and maybe better to watch under Jackie. Maybe I think we scored a lot more goals and a lot more free flowing. But when that does happen, teams then get clued up to what they're doing. So I think that really helped Archie coming in and sort of shoring up the back line, making us harder to beat, because under Jackie instead, we didn't have a great away record. I think a few times away. He certainly came up and showed us up a bit, and didn't he change too much, didn't he come in sort of try to change everything, because he knew he had a good team and good players. So but didn't he change too much, and I think the players were grateful for that.
Yeah. Did the training change much in that respect?
No,
you know, just literally a continuation, because obviously Archie was coaching staff as well. You know,
Archie was involved in the training even under Jackie.
Yeah.
Stuff like that, and Archie was actually in the coaches room. He didn't actually get changed with the players, so he was basically a coach. So it was an easy transition for him. But he done extremely well, because the pressure was certainly on him to sort of continue it, because you look at the talent we had, not to go up that season would have been, very disappointing.
And to be fair to Archie, being obviously a defender his whole career, he didn't change the brand of football, even in the first season of Premier League. Remember the first few games playing at Dundee, at home at Dundee United and away to Motherwell, playing these teams off the park, good sides as well.
I always think, looking back, we done well. I think we actually underachieved in the Premiership the first couple of seasons. Just with the amount of games we played that we should have won is incredible. I know it should have, we could have, but I remember we played Hibs, absolutely gave them a doing.
It was a Monday night game, wasn't it, in Sky?
It could have been 4 or 5, easy. They got the part. I think Liam Craig scored top corner, beat us 1-0. Even that first season, Dundee United game, maybe we didn't deserve to win, but it was an even game. Then we played Hearts. Hearts got a late penalty to draw with us. There was so many games in that first season where we were the better team during the game, but we just didn't have the know-how to see it over the line. So actually I do think we maybe underachieved with the performances we put in compared to the results.
I do remember that. We've talked about that before. We used to batter teams, especially in the first half, and then you'd go in and you just didn't get that goal, and then and then it all starts again at 45 minutes.
I said you're a wee bit sort of thinking, how are we in front here? And and then you start to maybe doubt yourself because it's happened before, and then you're thinking it's coming here. And quite a few times it did come late on, sort of sucker punches, and it sort of took the wind out of sail, because I don't think we deserve to be anywhere near the bottom that season. I really don't. But we gave away too many points, which was disappointing.
Especially the kind of start of the second season. I remember the Ross County game we had at home, and you looked at his side and you bring in Ryan Stevenson and Hickey was there, and it looked like a really fantastic attacking side we had.
That was a real good start to the season. Ross County was a Wednesday, because I don't think we played on the Saturday because Celtic were.
That's right. Friendly.
Aye, so we played on the Wednesday, and then up at Dundee, and Gary Fraser scored a world there up at Dens, and I missed an absolute sitter that day. I heard it 2-0. Because I had scored obviously in the first game, so I'm thinking if I get 2-2 here, I'm getting a move. I'm buzzing. I remember that bit again. I think we threw that game away as well. I ended up drawing. We threw away the Hamilton game a week later, 1-0 up, getting beat 2-1 late on. So, it was small margins for us, because I think we had a really good team. Touching on Higgy there as well. Higgy was brilliant, wasn't he? That first season. He was probably, on his game, probably one of the best players we've seen in years. I mean, how many things did they create and score? Unbelievable. Maybe didn't quite reach the heights he did after, but that first year he was unbelievable.
Oh, he was brilliant, wasn't he? He was totally dynamic. I remember the game away at Motherwell when he ran the game and I thought we'd won it, and then they get 2 late goals, was it, that night?
They ended up getting beat 4-3. So Higgy was a special talent, and I think he still does regret. I've spoken to him a few times. Still does regret leaving, because it didn't quite work out for him going to Kilmarnock and places like that.
No.
He should have stayed a place where he was loved by the people, and the fans absolutely adored him. So I think for a wee bit extra money, it maybe wasn't the best thing for him to move away. But
it's a kind of common theme, isn't it? There's very few that have left Thistle to go on to have a better career. You could say that that Erskine when he went to the United, but he came back, his career was roughly kind of round about Thistle.
We weren't that much different from Dundee United then, in terms of the same league and that. So it was no as if he was stepped up the level sort of thing. It does seem to happen. It's such a great place to play. It really is, especially during those years when things were going well. It was amazing. And everybody I speak to during that time just says they absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
There's the one thing actually, even Steph Craig, Conrad, Freddie as well. Every player we spoke to, Martin, even prior to that, I've all said there's just something about the place. It does make it very, very special. And of course, over the years we've all rolled up, and my God, as you well know, Banzo, we've seen some utter crap over it. We're a wee bit older, obviously. We've seen some crap, and it does make you appreciate the good times, the good players. I'm looking back at just other things with yourself. September 13, you win Young Premiership Player of the Month. That's incredible to do that so quickly, having taken that step up, and to where you perceive yourself 2 years.
I remember that pre-season. I missed the full pre-season. Never done one bit of, I swear, never did one bit of running. Right? We played a bounce game the first Saturday of pre-season, and somebody came through my ankle. Out for 10 days. Came back. Next game, somebody done another ankle. Out for another 10 days. So I missed the full pre-season. So I ended up training, I think it was on the Tuesday before the United on the, I don't know if that was a Friday night. Was that the Friday night? Might have been the Monday. Trained the Monday for the first time. Archie stuck me in on the Friday. So I'd actually never had a pre-season that first month, and it turned out to be probably one of the best ones I had. I don't know what it was. It was just I set up the one up at Ross County, and that's what I was actually going to say to you, Donners. A wee bonty pit me about the Ross County. So Stevie was saying that I should have passed him the first one. Stevie's played me through. I've had a pretty poor shot, but there was no pass on. So was fumbled out and Stevie's tapped in, fair play, right? Then I think Stevie's taking credit for his goal that he played me through. It was Jai C that played me through. He was nothing to do. It was absolutely nothing to do with it. I ran right through it and unselfishly squared him to game a tap in. I was taking abuse for that.
Listen, to be fair, I edited in the highlights so the viewer could see it. Do you know what I mean? So, I apologise.
No. He was taking it for a pass that he never played. This is embarrassing. Stevie was tapping and I just laid him across and scored. But no, going back to that month, I think it could have been a few years, to be honest. Stevie could have easily got it. I think Stevie started really well that month. But I was fortunate to get it, and I think that was the first one of the new SPFL, so it was a sort of...
That's right, yeah. Yeah, it was the first months, so it was. That's another one up in wee Stevie.
Raymond, before you nip on, just on wee Stevie, just napping back to the Championship or the First Division, the wee man thinks that's why we won the titles, because he joined the squad. Apparently he referenced this a lot, did he?
He says all the time to me that he used to play me in reserve matches and score 3 or 4 against me. That's what he used to say all the time. And he said he came in the door and he changed everything for us. Nobody knew who Stevie was. That's Stevie in the open arms. So everybody, I sort of welcomed him in. No, Stevie was brilliant, wasn't he? Let's be honest. He was unbelievable that first wee while. He really was. And he was talking as well, I think he was talking about how we used to play against each other in training. I don't know if you remember that bit he was speaking about. And Stevie was right. I used to genuinely always get the better of Stevie in training. There was something about it. He just couldn't play against me. So
I think the word rat was what he used.
He used to play on the right. I would sometimes be out at left back and all over the wee man. All over him. But I fair play him. He's no, listen, I'm so delighted for him that he's done really well and deservedly get his move down south. I think he could have, even went even a wee bit higher. But he's done absolutely superb, and an absolute travesty that vote came through for the team of the year, and it's obviously going to be Celtic Venus.
I think it was a lot of surprises.
Still, to how he's not even mentioned is unbelievable. With the goal tally and assists that he got, and how good sort of Livingston done. So I'm sure he'll go down there and smash it.
There's not many who were down at that age, so it shows it kind of, and of course he can down with his old teammate Ryan Edwards, isn't he?
Aye. But I think Stevie, it doesn't really matter what age with him. He's always been very fit, very rarely misses any games. So I don't think it will be a problem for him.
Right, before this turns into a lawless love-in, because we'll come back to him later, Banjo. Looking back, 100th appearance against Hamilton Accies in 2014. Again, the club stays up. Relatively comfortable that season.
Yep.
And then 15-16, we miss out, but there's then that injury at Tynecastle when all you were doing was closing down on a sandy crap pitch. And it was almost like you went one way and your ankle went, your leg went the other. Is that pretty much it?
I remember the game before it, St Johnstone. Probably one of my best games I've ever played. Thinking I'm absolutely flying here, and had people sort of looking at me and spoke to a few teams, stuff like that, and I just chased the keeper down and it just gave away, and it did feel pretty bad at the time. But I always say after the game, usually they do a wee thing with your leg, they check you and they can tell straight away that your cruciate's gone. Mine didn't. He didn't think that it was as bad as what it turned out to be. So I had hoped that I would be back in weeks, never mind what it turned out to be. So it was just a nightmare run that people don't even realise the stuff you go through, and you think that your time's up for being out for 2 years. You genuinely, I thought I would maybe never play again. So that's why I'm so happy.
There was a transfer move prior to that injury. It looked as though you were away.
Well,
you were leaving.
I'm not being sort of arrogant about it or anything like that, but if it didn't happen, I was away. That was just the way it was. Archie had spoke to me quite a few times about it, and he was sort of happy for me to go off and try sort of a new thing and take my career to the next level. I went down to Barnsley and spoke to Lee Johnson down there at the training ground. spoke to him. They were keen to get me. Met Derek McInnes. He was keen to get me up at Aberdeen. So I felt that signing a pre-contract maybe just sort of stopped potential other teams coming in. So I was going to wait to the end of the season, see what's left again, make my choice for there. And it didn't happen for me, but that's life, and you move on.
Do you know what? Well, it's amazing to see you react like that, because it's really sad to hear it. And obviously, you were misdiagnosed as well, weren't you? Did you not go through a lot of, and then after 6 months you had to get the surgery?
So just a quick sort of briefing. It was 6 months I'd wasted. They thought I had a partial tear, which you can get away with. 6 months wasted. Ended up going down to London to see another guy. He said I needed it, so a full reconstruction of my cruciate. So that was a year out plus the 6 months wasted. Then I came back at the start of the 17-18 season.
Yeah.
But I knew I wasn't right. I played the first 3 games of the season. I think it was Celtic, Hibs and Aberdeen. I think it was. I knew it wasn't right. Something wasn't right. I couldn't straighten my leg out properly. I always felt I had something sort of stuck behind my knees, stopping the full extension. But I just, again, being out for a year and a half, you are thinking to yourself, I don't want to say this isn't being out for, you know what I mean? Saying again, you're sort of embarrassed to say this isn't right. I'm going to be out for more time. So it turned out that I did have, it was a wee sort of hardened blood sort of clot in the back of my knee, which was stopping my knee straightening out. So I ended up having another small operation for that. And it was just so much stuff after so much stuff. But what really, the one thing that does annoy me, people say I'm injury prone. I've had one injury for 2 years, right? Which is the one injury. Name any other part for that I've had. That's what one thing it does. People go, he's injury prone. Injury prone for me means you're twisting your ankle, doing this, doing that. I was out for the one injury for 2 years and I just couldn't get back. So that's the one thing that does annoy me when people sort of tarnish me with that.
Well, that's quite important to say that, because it's total nonsense, isn't it? You're really bad at it, misdiagnosed, ended out for 2 years because the other thing that came up. That's not injury prone, that's a long-term injury, you know what I mean? I
know, that's what I just see. You see people say stuff like that, you're just like, there's no idea what they're talking about.
Yeah.
The other thing is, mentally as well, that takes a toll on you. You're thinking to yourself, am I going to be back? Am I going to be the same player? And I think I alluded in a wee bit in the build-up that I said you've kind of had to adapt your game slightly, going from the box-to-box midfielder that you were, kind of coming in to almost being the focal point of the team. Now, the deep-lying guy who will spray balls around, who can pick a pass and stuff like that. Was that deliberate, or was that just circumstances or formation changing?
I think just trying to get back playing, so I don't want to maybe do too much too soon, and if you get so maybe run mad everywhere. So I felt maybe just sitting in the middle of the park for a wee while, just sort of get myself bedded in. I feel I still do an alright job in there, but I do, now that I've been back playing for sort of a year and a half now solid, I would like to try and get back to being a bit more active, sort of all around the park. But touching on the mental side of things, it's tough. It is tough. You just, you didn't know when the sort of light would shine, really. I'd get back the start of the 18-19 season. I'd done the full pre-season. Archie always says I never miss one session, and it was 2 days before the first League Cup game away at Stenhousemuir, where Shea scored 2 that game. And 2 minutes to go in training on a double session on a Tuesday, so it was about 3:30, 4 o'clock, and I felt my knee gave way, and I genuinely thought I'd totally done it again. And if it was the case, I'd have been mute for 3.5 full years. I'd have been done. So lucky for me that I felt in a strange way that sort of popped it back in place. It was strange. It was weird. So I was out for 6 weeks again, and then lucky for me, ever since I've been touch wood. I've been sort of lucky enough to be playing all the games. So, but I need to thank Archie as well. Archie was the one. If it wasn't for him, I probably wouldn't be at Thistle. Probably, somebody would have got rid of me. I've no doubt about that. So, I've got my career to thank to that man.
I'll thank him for sticking by you for a long period of time, and well, it's paid off. You're back in.
They could have easily get rid of me, and you wouldn't have a sort of bad thing to say about them because it was for so long. So no, I thank the people for sticking by me and showing me that faith.
And I think the other thing that was difficult, and it was difficult for us fans as well, because we realised what an impact you were on the side. When you think about when we got relegated by a goal, wasn't it? It wasn't even a point. We'd avoided it by a goal, and you think, God, that's Stuart Bannigan, we'd have posted it. You were back training, weren't you?
Yeah, back training. I remember I probably get back about 2 weeks before the end of the season, and we're playing at Livingston, and I'm thinking he's probably not going to start me, but I might be involved in the bench. And I think it was the day before, I just felt my calf just getting a bit tight. I just said to him, listen, there's no point in even putting me in here. I wouldn't be ready anyway, but I think he was desperate for me to just try and even come on with 15, 20 to go, and maybe try and in some way, maybe not be the presence sort of on the ball, but maybe me coming on might have gave people a lift. But I see things all the time, relegated for the Premiership, relegated for thingy. I hardly played in the year we get relegated. I played 3 games or something. And I'm not taking this relegation as well, this one. I mean, it's outrageous, really. So I don't know if I can really get into a lot, but with 8 games to go and still a game in hand is crazy. The year before we weren't great either, but we somehow got ourselves out of it. So I had belief that, we could have certainly got out of it. But that doesn't take away the fact that we weren't, we've been pretty poor for a long time now, and maybe dicing my death a wee bit in terms of our play on the park. So
but what about the penalty kick we get awarded against Queen South at home? And then
what
was the circumstances there? I mean, how did the players manage to persuade the ref or the linesman to look at that decision again? I couldn't understand that watching it.
I knew something was wrong as soon as they started going over to speak to them. I knew something was changing with the decision. But it's those wee things that add up to you end up, going down, which is absolutely ridiculous, really. So it does annoy me a wee bit when, it looks like I've got 2 sort of relegations in my CV, when if you really look into it, no entirely true.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I think you're a bit modest at Livingston, because we recall actually saying that you were the best player in training when you came back. You hadn't kicked a ball in 18 months, and you're running the show, and he was like, you know what, I just want to keep him. It's about him, his career. And I think you're showing right now why he did that. That modesty is fantastic. No,
I just try to be as honest as I can with it. But I don't like to sit and try and brag.
I think the other thing is, Stuart, that listen, we know. I think the other thing is you're one. As fans would say, you're one of your own. You've got you through the academy, but to be able to have that presence that you still have, to be the driving force, whether it was when you were playing box to box, to now maybe sitting a little deeper and dictating play to allow others to have space to move forward. Yeah. I don't think anybody with any sense certainly would ever look at your career. It's never crossed my mind. I don't think nobody I know certainly. I think you obviously get social media stuff, that to ever turn around and go, oh, he's associated with 2. No, wait a minute. What about the 8 years he's given us in the first place, and we're lucky to have him? And that's not blowing smoke up your arse, mate.
No, social media now, you're going to see things, aren't you, where some of the stuff people say, and you're just like, do you even know anything about?
Yeah.
It's unbelievable, some of the stuff you see, but it gives people a platform to speak about it, and you either use that to try and prove people wrong, or you just try and ignore it, because no matter what happens, you could have a great game, somebody says you're terrible, he's done all this and that, so you need to try and use it as a driving force to try and prove people wrong that I can. I want to get back playing in the Premiership with Thistle. I believe it can be done. So it'll be a while now coming for the lower leagues, but I do believe we can get back there.
Well, you can just rub out those 2 relegations and add in another couple of titles.
I would love that.
That's your target, isn't it? Title wins. So obviously, all the things you've been through, Stuart. Archie gets fired in the Championship. Personally, how does that affect you?
Well, I thought it would. Well, it did. But it was just the timing for me. I was just back from being out for over 2 years, and Archie knows me, knows what I'm all about, and I felt with him being there for me, it would have helped me get back into it a bit quicker. I'd played my first 2 games, Queen of South, Inverness came on from Fairmont, and then he got the sack. And being there for so long and him helping me the way he helped me, I was gutted for him. But he does say maybe that he should have left before even starting the Championship season. What he'd done, he'd done a magnificent job. And just to go down that season with, as you said, level on points, but down on goal difference, basically. With the amount of games we took away, I think we could beat Hamilton 2 in the last minute, Dundee, stuff like that. So it was very close, but I was gutted for him in it. I thought it would affect me because I would need to go and try and prove again to a new manager that I should be playing.
Well, he put you straight in as captain, didn't he? You were almost like his lieutenant. I remember his first game at Alloa when Gary Caldwell came in, and I remember a lot of times he was communicating through you in the park. What was that kind of relationship like?
A bit different than what I'm sort of used to be honest. Archie was more of a sort of let me go out and do my own thing and trusted me to go out and do it. Gary was a bit more sort of hands-on. He came in and don't get me wrong, he played me every week. Thankful for. Said I was going to be his captain. Again, thankful for. He helped me on that time when I was back. Sort of just playing my first 3 or 4 games under Archie. I was still under a month-to-month contract, so I didn't know a new contract or not. So he came in, Gary Caldwell came in, gave me a new contract. Initially, it was supposed to only be to the end of the season, but I said to him, "Listen, I've been out for so long. I'm hoping to get a wee bit more sort of stability." And he gave me that. So I've got a lot of things to thank him for. Yeah, it didn't end so well. We had a few fallouts towards the end, and just didn't quite work out. Sometimes they're just not suited to certain managers or people. But he did help me in a few things, so I thank him for that.
Yeah. He was his lieutenant. All I can think is that picture of you in the army gear.
That was unbelievable. That was madness. Some of the stuff we done was it really was.
Seen some light in that one.
We had I think it was might have been a national break or something like that. We didn't have a game, so we were thinking weekend off, brilliant. And he says no. Down at the army barracks, can't remember where it was. He knew somebody that was the army captain or something. So we're down there, and this is one of the hardest things I've ever done. It was, couldn't believe it. Because usually when you go to these things with part of a team, it's not as hands-on as what you would think. They would maybe take you a wee bit lightly. Carrying big logs, running 3-4 mile, doing some crazy tasks. And then at the end we all get kidnapped and put in a dark room.
That's what we want to know.
Swear, we all get kidnapped. So at the end of we thought it was the end of the day.
Aye.
We all get put in the back of the van, and I think we're getting driven back to the base. And it just goes pitch black, and the doors open. 3 big guys come out, drag you out the van, get you in the ground. I swear, into the dark room, the bandanas on, screaming in your face. So it was all just I think it was a thing maybe to try and bring us together, but players are a bit cynical, so we all laugh at stuff like that,
What is that building, is it?
It was mental. It was mental because it was a long day and all. I think we should have had the weekend off. I think it was Saturday. I think we met at 9. Never got up the road till about 7 or something. It was mental. Probably deservedly so because our performances were pretty poor that season. So.
So looking forward, Stuart, now, we've got the nucleus of our squad for League One. Ross Dockerty's come in as well. getting, a few new guys coming in. I dare say the manager will be bringing in more. So what does the future hold? Do you see for yourself as, a player and as a club moving forward? Are you excited by, obviously it's a curtailed season, but are you excited about getting back to playing and getting back in that pitch and maybe righting wrongs that the club have suffered? Or
I am not. I'm just. I'm so excited to try and get back. Been, no playing for 6 months has been a nightmare. No knowing when we'll be back. So it's going to be a shortened season, as you said. I think 27 games. We're going to need to hit the ground running with it, and prove. We want to be one of the better teams in that division. But it's not going to be easy. It's certainly not going to be easy with the places you need to go and grind out results. I do think we've got a nucleus, a good squad there. Sort of young players the manager's hoping to bring in that you probably want to do similar to what you've done at Ayr with those young players. Turned Ayr into a brilliant team. I thought they were one of the best teams we played over the past few years. Really played some brilliant stuff. So he'll be looking to do that, and with the sort of experience of myself and Brian Graham, Tam, people like that, to maybe help the boys along.
Mm-hmm. I was going to say that the other thing is, when you're saying it is going to be difficult, when you look at the Queen's Park now, obviously they're you see the players, the calibre players that they're bringing in. You're looking at other clubs around all the leagues now because of the situation that happened worldwide. Now, do you look at that and go, well, it's just going to be a wee bit more difficult? That certain teams that you're going to look at as well, in both, you could face both league and cup wise as well. You look and you go, wow, didn't see that one coming. Good idea.
There's going to be players who, due to all this sort of stuff going on, are going to end up having to just sign contracts at places they maybe didn't want to. So there's going to be a lot of good players playing in this division. So we're going to need to prove it on the park that we want to be challenging.
Of course, we may face some of these teams in the Betfred Cup.
Aye, I don't know when that is. That going to be a couple of weeks before the season starts? That kicks off.
I think it is, yeah.
I think it is scheduled for that, yeah.
No, I'll be looking forward to. Hopefully, we get a few teams that we want to put one over them.
It'd be fair to say there's a fair bit of travelling as well is going to be involved this season. I think Barton's probably going to be the derby. I think just about there's Clyde, but let's be honest, Stuart, they don't count.
When the fixtures came out, I done what probably everybody does, look to see if you've got Peterhead twice away, but we were lucky to only get them once. I think we get Cove away twice, Montrose twice, and maybe Fulford twice as well. So a few journeys, but it's got to be done to try and get us back to where we want to be.
Listen, the good news is you're going to have a bus this year, so that'll be a good news.
I'd delightful. I don't need to travel ourselves. That was
up the train with the fans.
It wasn't as bad as what it was made out. It was only a travel up to Alloa, so the boys were fine with that. But pretty funny seeing the reaction, everybody, neighbours happening and all that. We can travel up in the cars, but obviously it's better to have everybody on the bus as a team.
So
I think Alan Fraser was going to run one for the shop. The glorious bus.
So see the squad of boys have got just now, because obviously a lot of changes in there. I mean, you mentioned Brian Graham. God, these are all Premier League players. These are the League One players. What's the squad like just now in terms of personalities?
Big Brian's a big personality. He came in. I knew he's one of the guys that you've played against so many times that you get to sort of know and speak to sort of during games or after games. He's a good laugh, a big man. With Tam, my mate Tam, he's always up for a laugh as well. A bit grumpy at times, but always up for a laugh. But that's a good thing about a new team, especially for you guys as well. Probably he's just fresh. We'll look to support and hopefully excite you. So fingers crossed we bring in a sort of good number of bodies and can get back to exciting these, because it's probably been, I think we all know it's been pretty dire probably at the times the past 2 or 3 years. It really has, and you guys certainly deserve better.
Yeah. Well,
no, it has been tough, I think, for all of us, but I think the likes of yourself who have been there, so have been at the club so long as well. I think sometimes it's forgotten just how personal, and I know that from speaking to you over the years, sometimes it's forgotten about how personal some of you guys take it as well that have been there for so long, and that maybe gets lost a wee bit.
Aye, just being so hard to get us up to Premiership in the first place, and then being up there for whatever it was, 4 or 5 years, and then seeing we well now, it's a bit mind blowing at times, but that's the reality of it, and we need to get on it.
There's nothing else for it, is there? Just go for it this season, you know.
We can't feel sorry for ourselves and thinking the whole world's against us, but we can use that to try to getting back.
Yeah, and build some new memories. We've got great memories of the last decade or the early part of the decade, so let's start this next decade with some more. So some of the personalities, some of the stories, who have you got?
Right.
What have you got for us?
It's slaughter time.
Two stories. Well, I always remember one, James Cragen. So JC had never scored for the full first season of the Premiership, right? So he's playing probably number 10, maybe both sides of the wing, whatever. So he should be getting a goal. So every time in training after training, he's doing shooting and stuff like that. And we're on his back. Me and Stevie are getting him a bit, and any chance of you getting a goal, and he's dead nervous and trying to get a goal, whatever. So I think the next season away at Hamilton, I think we drew 3 each. It was some game. I think they scored late on. That was JC's first goal. Right? This is a true story. Jai scores and he's running away celebrating, and he just shouts, "I've only gone and done it." And we on the next day in training, every goal, "I've only gone and done it." It was amazing. Me, Stevie, Jai. But it was just a great group of boys who had a laugh with things. Higgy was some man as well. Higgy was mental. We played at Tynecastle, and Archie said to us, "Listen, first 5 minutes here, we've got Lyle up front." He says, "You know what Tynecastle's like? They make it pretty tight." He says, "Get it forward early. First 5 minutes, we'll play in their half and we'll take it for there." Ball comes to Big Errol for the first kick. The kick-off gets passed back to him, and the Errol just shells it right out for a goal kick. Higgy takes it personally, sprints up to him. "Any chance for you?" What he's like with his mad voice, unbelievable. Absolutely mental. He was one of the best characters throughout the full years. Higgy was some man. He could come in, he's either high as life or he's down a wee bad mood. But
I think Stevie said he was the only guy that had to get himself so wound up before a game to make himself that grump.
I remember we'd done training. We had a training game on a Friday before, and young v old at the time. I'd have been in the young team. Higgy, I don't know what age Higgy is now, maybe 4 years older, 3 years older, something like that.
Aye.
And we went in for a 50-50 tackle, no joke. We're going about the floor for 30 seconds, me and him, and then he's like proper trying to fight you. But the thing about him was, after training, it's arm round your shoulder, and he's your best pal again. But he was one that just had to, as you said, get himself going, I think, and pick a fight with somebody to get himself ready to play a game. One of them. But he couldn't pick a fight with me. I'd just laugh at him.
What was Ryan Stevenson like?
I remember Steve-O. That's what it is. Steve-O was... I love Big Steve-O. I think Steve was amazing. When he signed, I thought, what an unbelievable signing. And he sort of helped a lot of the boys as well with his experience, stuff like that. But we were playing a game, and Stephen O'Donnell, something happened, and he wasn't happy. And I think a goal was scored at the back post. Somebody's jumped above Sod and headed it in. And Sod gets that way where if people are maybe getting on him too much, he explodes and he goes mental. So Big Steve-O shouted at him, "Any chance you at the back post? Come on, you, blah, blah, blah." And Sod just exploded, called him every name under the sun, Big Steve-O. Steve-O got up, pinned him up against the wall in the showers. It was amazing. We always say that, Big Sod get flung about off Steve-O. We have a laugh at that. But these things happen in changing rooms. It's you want to win, and but after it was never personal with boys, and it was always a laugh and a joke the next day in training.
Who was the daftest player in the dressing room that you've had?
Gary Fraser. Without
he won the Player v Fan quiz, if you remember.
No, he never. It was a fix, absolute fix. I had to me and Gary were injured for a long time together, so I was with him every day, and my God, some of the stuff that guy does to keep himself occupied is unbelievable. I don't know how he does it, because he's like that every single day, but he was one of the guys that would do anything for you as well. Such a kind boy. He was another one that had so much ability. If you could maybe got a wee bit more out of him, he'd have went on and done some great things, because he had everything you'd want in a midfield player. Legs, he was deceivingly quick. You seen the big sort of strong legs that he had, and his shot was the best I've ever seen. So he was one that you maybe think was sort of one that got away in terms of what he could have been. But he's still a young boy, so you don't know. He could still come back and have a great career. But
is it Peterhead he's with?
Aye, Peterhead. Aye, but he's one of life's good guys. So I wish him really well in whatever he's doing.
That goal at Tynecastle, that screaming at Tynecastle.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. It's not even the fact that he's got hardly any backlift.
I was going to say there's no backlift at all.
It's just pure ability to strike a ball.
Dundee was the same, wasn't it?
Say that again, sorry?
Dundee goal was the same. No backlift.
No backlift, just sheer ability to strike a ball. But that first year in the Premiership, me and Gary sort of had to hold the fort down in midfield. We played together in midfield for a good portion of that season. Towards the end, I think Ozzy ended up getting injured that year. Welsh was out for a while, so me and Gary sort of complemented each other pretty well. So, great times.
How was it like playing with Big Osman, the big poser?
I thought he was magnificent for me. I thought he really complimented me really well. Get on really well with him. Such a nice big guy. Taking a wee bit of stick, I think, for the last year that he was at the club, maybe in terms of his performances wise, and maybe didn't play as many games as he should have. But for me, I would have him in there with me every day of the week. I think he always knew that he was there. He would always be there. He would never really move for his position. So I always knew that I could, when at times, make my runs, and he would always be covering me. So a joy to play with, and just an always happy guy, always dancing about in the changing room, and you see him with his videos and stuff like that. So
he's not getting you into that herbal life yet, has he?
Tried a million times, and I just say, big man, not interested in your But no, he has one of, again, the 95% of the boys, great boys, who, if you see the now, I still speak to a lot of them over the phone. Too many to name. Welshie, Christy Elliott, Squiddy, Dools, so many. JC, obviously Stevie, Buffy, Foxy. There's so many to even name that. Just great people that you meet through football.
Yeah, it's true.
Well, listen, I know the missus is probably wanting a bit of attention now because it's a Sunday night.
And the next
you take that any way you want. That was not the way it was meant, but that cheeky laugh. So we're gonna let you go, Stuart. But listen, seriously, all the best for the coming season. When it starts, you know that all the fans will be behind yourself, the club, the manager, the lot. And seriously, thank you so much for taking the time out tonight to spend this hour or so talking to us. Can't thank you enough. And fingers crossed, we're back into a league below where we deserve to be in a year.
Thanks very much, guys. I appreciate that. That was good. Thank you.
Yes, sure.
Thanks, Basil.
Thanks so much.
We'll be back next week with another special guest, and we'll see what happens with Scottish football the rest of the week. Probably nothing. That's been pretty much the way it's gone. But at least we're at the forefront for once as the English League takes a little setback now and settles down. Join us next week again. We'll be back with Jags Cast. In the meantime, Morna Jags.